Hello, what's going on, everyone? How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? We're going to talk about the Iran war and the extra funding that the U.S. is requesting. Not the U.S., but the government is requesting from Congress. Hegseth and Donald Trump have an attitude that they feel as if they don't have to ask Congress for anything. They're in control and they don't need Congress at all, right? They just had a hearing and their attitude was they don't really need Congress. Congress needs them, right? Let's watch this exchange. It was feisty the whole time. This is Senator Murkowski, which I'm not a fan of, not a fan at all. Um, but let's listen to what she has to say, right? This is the Armed Services Committee.
Challenging times. I think we all recognize that. Secretary Hegseth, I want to ask specific to Iran authorization. The administration has made the case that the action in Iran falls under the president's Article 2 authorities, and we can have disagreement. Reasonable people can disagree about the boundaries of the presidential
Yeah, so
war
President
powers and have for a long period of time. But I look at the War Powers Resolution, and it's not ambiguous. It requires the president to terminate hostilities within 60 days, absent congressional authorization. So hostilities began February
Yeah, so
28th. May 1st, Congress was informed that hostilities had ended, but yet despite the fact that hostilities had ended, we were still seeing sailors being fired upon still activity. Then in June, MOU is signed to preserve the ceasefire while negotiations
so she's just going through the
continue.
timeline.
That MOU has now collapsed, and we are seeing the resumed attacks in the Straits of Hormuz. On July 10, the administration sends Congress a new war powers notification effectively restarting, the 60-day clock again. So I'm concerned about this sequence because you have a situation where the claim essentially allows the president to extinguish the
So because he starts the war,
war
it's a new
powers
war.
clock just at the moment that it becomes legally inconvenient through declaration of temporary ceasefire. Then it's reset, avoiding the congressional authorization that the Constitution requires and the war powers intends. So we had an opportunity in previous appropriations hearing for me to ask if you felt the
It's Trump
administration
changing.
had all the authority that it needed. You indicated at that time that no, additional authority was not needed. Are you still, is the administration
So they pretty much
still taking that position about needing no authorization
they're pretty much saying they don't need Congress.
from Congress at this time?
Senator, I know there's a long-standing legal debate on this particular topic, but we certainly, as a department, take the
So he's saying it's a
Share the
debate.
position of the White House that we have all the authorities necessary at this moment.
Right? So he's saying that they have all the authority they need. They're just asking for money. And how dare Congress not fund the war effort? Exited out by mistake. How's everyone doing? Uh, I just exited out by mistake. So I don't agree that they don't need Congress, but they do need Congress, right? Despite what Hexex says, they do need Congress to get anything passed. For us to fund the military. Um, let's see some more testimony. Let's watch some more exchanges, heated exchanges that happened today. There was some very heated exchanges between Hexet and Congress.
Secretary Hegseth, if you listen to my comments, you would have heard me say how amazing our warfighters are.
I heard failure. And the word heard, I heard exactly
I will
what you
tell
said.
you how I use the
Heard
word
exactly
failure,
what you
because
said.
I use the word failure to their leaders.
Mm.
You, sir, are the failure, not the men and women who are on that front line, not the men and women who hold up their honor with distinction.
Mm. Calling, insulting each other, calling each other failures. It's
There's a lack
interesting.
of a winning strategy. They're in harm's way. Their leaders have failed them. And that's what's happening. We have political leadership. You don't have a
So-
strategy. You don't have a long-term plan to actually win this war. Win the war. The men and women are going to be able to do it, but they need to have leadership. When will you show leadership? When will you show
Why don't you
leadership?
show some leadership and stand up to your fellow Democrats who won't fund the troops, who stand and play partisan politics while you don't give us the money? You want to stand up here and talk about the troops? You won't show any political
Secretary
courage
Hegseth.
to actually fund our department because you have Trump derangement syndrome and can't actually commit to anything meaningful.
Like, what do you say to that person? Always Trump derangement syndrome. You don't give them the money, it's Trump derangement syndrome. It's always Trump derangement syndrome. Every single time they call it out, as Trump derangement syndrome. It's never that what they're doing is wrong. It's never what they're trying to accomplish is wrong. It's not that admitting that they made a mistake. They won't backtrack. They won't ever say we miscalculated, we messed up. Maybe we shouldn't be where we are. Maybe we shouldn't be fighting this war, right? Maybe we shouldn't be fighting this war. And it's okay to backtrack and say, hey, we screwed up. You know, we screwed up. We failed the American people. Let's get out of there. Let's not keep losing soldiers.
So I put this on you, Senator.
Secretary Hegseth, you have trillions. You have over $1 trillion. You're asking for $1.5 trillion. It's not a question of money. It's a question of leadership and understanding what it takes to actually win. And
Political cowardice of Democrats who won't fund the troops.
Senator's time.
So, I mean, is it about funding the troops or is it about destroying the economy, destroying the world's oil supply, showing the weakness and showing the weakness of America, showing that we weren't ready for this, that we couldn't handle this, right? We couldn't handle this. We couldn't handle this war. We messed up and we should just admit and confess, hey, we screwed up. Trump screwed up. I screwed up. Let's exit while we still can. Let's listen to another senator, Senator Reed. Heated exchange with P. Hegseth.
Sinking their ships has not affected their ability to effectively close the straits. Did you?
We had
warn the-
U.S. boats that surrendered to Iranian ships under the Biden administration. So their Navy was effective
Listen,
in
We're
expeditionary
talking
ways in the
about a
past.
war you started, not a situation in which oil was flowing freely. There was no conflict.
Mm.
We weren't losing personnel as a result of Iranian actions. So your fallback to the Biden administration is just a very, very obvious excuse for what I think is probably, as you described so often, gross negligence. You did not fully inform the president that you would be in a situation where the Strait of Hormuz could be effectively closed, oil prices could surge, and effectively the Iranians could maintain their ability
So he put it on Hegseth's lap.
to strike back as they are right now. They just killed some of our servicemen last weekend.
And how can Hegseth clap back from that? Right? How can Hegseth clap back from that? The fact that we're losing service members and the objective is not clear, right? The objective is not clear. What are we doing there? Right? It's still not clear. So clips of the hearing are being clipped. People are saying what they gotta say. Uh, let's see.
throughout the Iran war, and we all like winning. But you've
Let's
talked
hear
a
what they gotta
lot
say.
about winning. You've talked about winning in your testimony today. You've talked about winning throughout the Iran war, and we all like winning. But I think the American people deserve a definition of what it means to win in Iran, because this war.
They just end this. We keep saying we won, we're doing this, we're doing that, and then it changes, and then we sign an agreement. We didn't sign an agreement. They're begging us for an agreement, but then the war continues. So which one is it? They're begging us for an agreement, or they're not, right? Because if they were begging us for an agreement, we just sign it, and we would just scale down the war and just leave, right? But obviously, this is not what's happening. The story keeps changing across the board,
War has dragged out for
and
a
it's
lot
sad.
longer than certainly the President of the United States
It's dragging on.
indicated. Indeed, the president said on March 24th, and I'm quoting, "We've won this war. This war has been won." Do you know what the president meant by that back in?
He's been saying that for months. We're winning. It's almost over. We only need a little bit more time, and we're gonna win. And he hasn't been winning.
March?
Well, Senator, I would just note that militarily, I mean, Iran has been completely overmatched and crushed from the beginning, militarily. Their capabilities are nowhere near ours. I would take issue with your characterization that we started this war. Iran started this war 47 years ago, and they've killed.
It started 47 years ago, this war. So why no other US president has ever gone to war with Iran? Right? If it started 47 years ago. So Trump is the only one that has the guts to take on Iran, or they knew it was going to be a quagmire. They knew that all other presidents were smart enough to say, if we go in there, it's going to be a disaster. It's not going to end that fast. It's going to cost a lot of money, and we're not getting anything out of it. So what is the US getting out of this war? What are we getting out of it? What US interest is there other than Israel, trying to defend Israel, or trying to fight the war for Israel? For Israel is not sending its soldiers. It's not expending its money. We are. We are.
Mr. Secretary,
Thousands of Americans.
Many presidents have said that Netanyahu tried to convince them to also go to war 10 years ago, 5 years ago. You know, for ages, he's been trying to convince presidents to do exactly what Donald Trump did, and he fell into the trap. Right? He fell into the trap.
Including our brothers on the battlefield in Iraq.
with
So
all, with,
Iran has been
with all
targeting us
respect,
for a
Mr.
long time.
Secretary,
So it just they gotta admit we're stuck in a tough situation, right? We're stuck in something that's called a quagmire, something that is ridiculous, right? Oh man. This is a New York senator. Can't stand her. Pro-Israel, 100%. Gillibrand. Can't wait till she gets voted out.
Foolishly continued to attempt to pursue.
It's true. Was it obliterated or wasn't it? What's the status?
The nuclear sites under Midnight Hammer were obliterated, but Iranians foolishly continued to attempt to pursue nuclear capabilities, which is why we destroyed their defense industrial base and
Okay.
so many of the other capabilities.
So which one is it? Which one is it? Are they destroyed it or they didn't destroy it?
Let's
To
take
ensure they can't get to a nuclear weapon. See, we're staying laser focused on the objective, and you're trying to make campaign commercials.
No, we're
and
not.
that's fine.
So listen to this. You also say that you made the missile program quote, destroyed and made combat ineffective. Quote, Iran's entire ballistic missile production capacity, every company that builds every component of those missiles has been functionally defeated and destroyed, and that the missile program, existing stockpiles were depleted and decimated, almost completely ineffective. So why are there missiles left to hit Jordan and result in the loss of life of our brave men and women?
As we stated from the beginning, the Iranian defense industrial base is effectively gone, but they do have underground facilities because they're the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, and they've spent 47 years trying to hide their missiles under mountains,
Thank
just
you,
like
Mrs.
they're
Sankey.
Mm. In other words, they can't.
Thank you,
just like their
Secretary.
nuclear capabilities, because they would like to get a
Just
nuclear
don't
weapon
know what
to wield.
Does he know what he's talking about? Or he's just like embarrassing himself?
It against
of the
us.
war to believe, because it's either over or it's not over. It's within 2 weeks or it's not 2 weeks. We have no missiles or we have missiles. And that consternation is why so many New Yorkers are perplexed, stressed out, and find this war to be incredibly unpopular because they don't understand the choices that the president's making. They don't agree with those choices. Secretary Rollins. So
Yeah, not just New Yorkers, Americans. Americans are frustrated with this war. They don't understand where we're heading. It's costing the world economy, destroying the world economy. And what is the United States getting out of it? That's the question. What is the United States getting out of this conflict? We're fighting other people's proxy wars. Um, we're fighting other people's battles, and we're not getting anything out of the battle, right? So why should we be in the battle if we're not getting anything out of it? All he's doing is screwing up our economy, um, destroying our oil um, reserves, destroying our morale, destroying troop morale because we're getting our asses handed to us. Pardon the French, but we're getting our everything handed to us. So I appreciate you all. I appreciate everything you have to say, right? But this is gonna be ugly. And so I want to talk a little bit about the whole Netanyahu coming to New York, coming to the United Nations, and uh, Mila Jack Paul. Let's see what she has to say. There's a lot of hearings happening, and they're getting heated, right? They're getting heated. Exactly.
Reform to an antiquated
Oh,
system, and that is what we should be doing in this committee.
yeah, value, audio, no
So the people that you are
video.
holding in these you had your time, Mr. Van Drew. This is my time. I'm going to claim it. You had your time. And I was asking Mr. Not this, and I might just see if he has a response to this, but I have a lot to say on this issue. I'm the ranking member of the Immigration Subcommittee. Do we have a single hearing on reforming the immigration system? No. You know why? Because Republicans have, since 2013, when I was not in Congress and I was advocating for immigration reform, there was a bipartisan bill. It passed the United States Senate with 68 bipartisan votes. And you know what happened? John Boehner was the Speaker of the House, and John Boehner was pressured by his right-wing members to not bring that bill to the floor, because what
That's how it works. One senator
would
has
happen if we
over
passed immigration reform,
things.
like a truly humane, bipartisan, comprehensive reform? We would no longer
Wow. She
be
wrote,
able to blame immigrants for everything that you want to distract us from. And so it angers me that people keep putting out the same lies instead of genuinely recognizing that we need legal pathways, we need a reform to an antiquated system, and that is what we should be doing in this committee.
roasted them. Roasted them, right? Which is good. It's preview after preview, right? It's all good, right? So much going on. All right, so that's just a reality we live in. That former DNC chair Jamie Harrison on primary night said, "If you hate the Democratic Party, then please don't run for our nomination." Mayor Ron Downey responded to the question that I come back to is, what is the Democratic Party? If not its voters, right? Great, right? And now they're courting um, John Fetterman to become a Republican. He's happy. He will be happy to become the Republican, right? He'll be happy to do that. So the whole thing, this is the people I want to speak about. The ones that think that we should be moving to the center, be moderate. No, we gotta resist fascism. We gotta resist Trump. So we got people like Van Jones go around saying that the Democratic Party needs to move to the center in order to
This
win.
phone has been blowing up all day. Governors from both parties, senators from both parties, Democrats in the House calling, thanking me for saying what everybody's been saying behind the scenes, which is that
Where you gotta say Van Jones.
this stuff is going too far. I am a progressive Democrat. You want to talk about prison reform? I've done it as well as anybody, Republican Democrats in the South with Trump. I've done prison reform. I never said have no prisons. Where are you going to put the Klan? I've done police reform. I never said no police. Where are you going to put the pedophiles? Who's going to grab the pedophiles? This stuff is going too far. And part of the thing that has to happen is we saw what happened in the Republican Party when things started going in a nutty direction and nobody stood up. I am happy that the young people are fighting for affordability, Medicare for all the good things. I've been waiting my whole life to see a youth movement do what it's doing, but it's being hijacked by people who are putting in nutty ideas, supporting terrorists.
Wait up, is it a nutty idea? Is it nutty to want to stop war, to stand up against all these other things and use that money for babies, not bombs? Is that nutty? Come on, Van Jones. Are you
The
serious?
idea is saying that we don't need cops in prison. We can't deport anybody, even if they rape somebody. Who said this? Chevalier. Where did Chevalier?
Chevalier is going to be is
Yes.
the
Like he's
Democratic
misquoting her.
nominees.
He's misquoting her so hard. So hard. They're so scared of people that are willing to stand up against Trump. They should be fighting Trump, not fighting their own Democrats, not fighting the Democratic Socialist America. They should be fighting fascism and Trump and this war.
So sorry,
Money being spent on war.
nominee for
Yeah.
Congress now from the Bronx.
Yeah.
Yeah, but does it make sense what you're saying? You willing to fight other Democrats that are trying to push the party to the left to resist against Trump, and you're fighting the resistors of Trump because things are not going your way. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Why fight the Democrats, keeping them from going to their left? Now you want to fight your own party, your own people? Why? Why are you willing to fight your own people? Willing to fight because you don't like an ideal, but you're okay with fascism. I don't hear a peep of them speaking about Trump or the things that Trump is doing, but they're rallying hard against democratic socialism. Does that make sense? I think they're making a big, making a big mistake. And it's ridiculous. Oh man, this is ridiculous. They brought out all the liberals, all the people that have not spoken out against Iran. They're bringing them out, right? And they're happy to bash other Democrats for their own purposes, right?
I am tired of a set of people on the very far left in the Democratic Party. Ideas that are literally insane, nutty, moronic, dangerous, bigoted, are not progressive. They're regressive, and they should not be in our party.
But you don't care about Trump.
Not living in communist America. I mean, I know
Oh man.
the talking point is that, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing.
So what? So you're defending for Trump, you're sticking up for Trump, you defend Trump no matter what. You'd rather have Trump in power than have somebody that's gonna do stuff for the working people.
They say things like, you know, take
You're a millionaire. You're an elite. You're a celebrity. You're a rich guy.
over of key industries, government. That's communism.
And this comes amid
So
reports of
what?
tension between Bernie Sanders and Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader.
And
Personally
Hakeem
calling the
Jeffries.
socialist senator, telling him to stop meddling in Democratic primaries. But Sanders wasn't taking his orders. Over the weekend, Bernie teamed up with far-left Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed.
And so he called him personally, right? And told him to stop messing in stop endorsing Democratic candidates, stop getting involved in Democratic races. He told Bernie Sanders, out of all people, like Bernie Sanders wasn't gonna speak out and say something. You can't control Bernie, right? You can't govern him as much as you want.
For a campaign rally that was a doozy. Watch here.
Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, change is coming. Progressives have been defeating establishment candidates all across America. Now, brothers and sisters, the entire country is watching this election. So there's an enormous
Yeah, we're watching this election.
responsibility on your shoulders.
Harold, you have made a point for many years of trying to separate the Democratic Socialists from the Democratic Party. Will Hakeem Jeffries be successful here?
I hope he is. First of all, it's good to be with everybody.
Good to be with
It was
you.
Good to be with
Harold.
both of you yesterday
Of
at the soccer
course.
game.
Of course. I'm a Democrat, but I hang out with Republicans and conservatives. But I'm a Democrat, and you know what I mean? You guys are wrong for criticizing Republicans. They are friends. We need to move to the center. We need to move to more Republicans.
I didn't get invited.
I barely got invited, but it was fun. They,
Thanks for carrying my
so a couple
stuff.
of things.
We don't need to become Republicans.
No borders, no
Democrats-
prisons, no police.
I mean,
Supporting
most
Hamas. We've been
Americans
saying
agree
this on
to
the show. I've said it for a while. I'm Van Jones, who I think is one of the more thoughtful
and the most paid, right? One of the most paid lobbyists.
voices and has been a leader in the party,
Also-
serving, working in the White House.
Yeah, and a consultant making millions of dollars with the corporate elites. No one wants corporate elites in our party or in any party or in charge in America.
I don't quite understand some of the appeal to what some of these guys
They've
are
been
talking about.
screwing
I
us
understand the
here.
frustration, the economic frustration.
They've been screwing us for years. Of course, everyone's frustrated. Screwing working class people, regular people, and then expect people not to be upset. Sit back and just listen to you.
I understand frustration with some of our policies in the Middle East over the years, or for that matter, over the decades. But to say that supporting an organization that exacts and imposes violence on people because of their faith, to say that we don't want to have borders for our country and allow any and everyone to come in, even the worst of the worst, to say that you want no law enforcement and no place to put those who commit crimes, I don't know how that aligns or has ever aligned with the Democratic Party. Ideas are what win elections. I would suggest to Senator Sanders and others that if you look at the most recent polling data, you guys are looking.
And that's why Kamala Harris won. That's why you won the midterms. That's why you lost the House and the Senate and the presidency and the Supreme Court, listening to people like you.
At the polling data, which are the most reliable elections, where some of the
All
progressives
listen
are
to
winning
him.
these elections. You look at the recent polling.
Insane and nutty are the ones getting on Fox News, getting paid consultants.
Data about how Democrats are faring
that
right
don't
now in the
care.
national races for Congress. We're in a dead heat with Republicans. And if you listen to those independents and others and
So
some
become more
Republicans,
Republican.
it's because they are afraid of this message. They are
So become more Republican. Become Republicans, right?
afraid of the socialist communist wing of the party. Now, you may get a lot of excitement
So
there, and I've been a part of a
MAGA?
lot of rallies over my short time in politics. I grew up in a political family. I'm 56 years old, and I've seen
Mhm.
anger turn into enthusiasm.
You look amazing.
But that enthusiasm is really predicated and really motivated around how are we going to solve real problems? No prisons, no borders, no police. Supporting Hamas is not an answer.
Now he's exaggerating the point of views, the perspectives, arguing extreme circumstances, slippery slopes to argue their position. So what you want everyone to become a Republican, to become a fascist, want to take over? Like, what do they have on you that you talking like this?
To solving the economic challenges facing so many Americans. It's not a
Wrong.
solution to a broken foreign policy policies that we have in our country that are not working, whether it be in Iran or in other places. We live in a country where we've always had challenges, and we've had people roll up their sleeves and get to work. We don't have people rolling up their sleeves and saying, we're going to quit. We're going to quit capitalism. We're going to quit democracy. And we're going to go to socialism.
And we're gonna
If we do
help
that, it will get
Trump. So we should roll up our sleeves and help Trump destroy the country. That's what you're suggesting? Is that what you're suggesting? You're the
far
establishment.
worse. And Democrats, if we find independents and even some Democrats leaving us in the fall come October, November, when early voting starts in these key states, we will have only ourselves to blame if we continue to embrace a group of people whose ideas are not only anti-Democrat party, but anti-American.
Kennedy,
Which are pushing people to fight for what's right for workers, for individuals that have been maligned, that have been treated badly by the system, people that need a voice in our democracy. So why keep pushing people out of the party? No one wants to be a fascist. I mean, some people do, obviously, but not anyone else, not the majority of Americans. That's why they sympathize with democratic socialism. Right? That's why they just sympathize with democratic socialism, because they don't want to be fascists and they don't want to be taken over by evil forces in our system. Right? We don't want that to happen to us. We want our system to be fair. Don't give them the money. Pressure them to get rid of whatever they say they're gonna do. We gotta end the war, end all wars, and focus on improving the material lives of all people in every country, including our own. Thank you for joining me, everyone. That's all I'm gonna be covering today. And you know what? We need this war to end as soon as possible. All this money is being burned through while we don't even have a plate of food, and a lot of people are struggling with the economy. And I don't see or foreshadow or see um, things getting better. Not under Trump. Now or never. Have a good day, everyone.